second graders. We're going to start weaving today, and our weaving is anything that goes in a pattern under, over, down your weaving template. And since we're weaving with paper and we're packing it very tight, it's going to look like a checkerboard. So we're going to have some vocabulary words that I'll tell you about in a minute. You're going to start with 2 paper strips. They don't have to be the same color, just of your choice. Mine happen to be the same. And you're going to drop your weaving template so that it's going off the table. Do you see how it's just folded off the table? You all need to go away. You can come and then grab. Then you'll easily be able to stand or sit with this propped up, kind of hanging off the table. I'm right-handed, so I tend to start on the right side, but you can go left to right like we do reading, or if you're left-handed, it might be faster to go from left to right. You're going to lift up the first, this is called a warp line, and the horizontal strip that we're weaving is called a weft. So if you hear me say warp and weft today, you're going to understand what that is. I'm under my first warp, then over my second warp, under my third, over my fourth, under my fifth, over my sixth, and so on. And do you see how it's making a pattern? So I have these red squares and then gray squares every other. So I'm going under, over, all the way. I'm not going to glue these in today, and I'm packing it as tight as I can. If I didn't cut all the way up to the stop line, then it's going to prevent me from weaving all the way to the stop line. So I have to cut that a little bit farther so I can weave up that high and pack it in nice and tight. You don't want it hanging off the edge like this. You want it all the way from left to right to the edge. These papers are exactly the same size width-wise. Then, this is a common mistake students make. They do the exact same thing for their next weft, but you actually need to do the opposite. So since I went under this warp, I'm going over this one and I'm lifting up the opposite one. Does everyone see how this is going to look like a checkerboard? My corners of my red squares are touching. I like lifting up the ones that I have to go under and sliding my paper sideways through the warp lines. Tuck it in and tap it and then pack it in. I would like you to raise your hand once you have 2 wefts woven in. Then I will check you off and make sure that you understand. If you go under 2 at the same time, for instance like this, and you raise your hand, I'm going to come and say you have a mistake. Can you point out the mistake? Right here, this one needs to be over with red so that the gray is not showing. So there's some problem solving with weaving today. Some students get this and it's really easy for them, and some students it takes a little extra work. It's okay if you don't get it right away. This is a practice day. If you are checked off, then you can keep going, get 2 more strips, change colors maybe, weave 2 at a time until class is over.